Picture yourself standing in a crowded room. People are laughing, conversations are rushing past you, and you desperately want to join in. But instead, you feel frozen. The urge to reinvent yourself in moments like this, to suddenly become the outgoing, relaxed person in the room, is a common experience. Modern self-help culture relies on this desire, offering plans to rewire habits and change your life. Yet, clinical psychologists have historically treated these promises with skepticism, suggesting our core traits are more resistant to change than we'd like to believe. This skepticism has roots in early psychoanalysis. Sigmund Freud proposed that a human's core personality is mostly set in stone by the age of 5. This creates a conflict for anyone trying to better themselves. Are our personal resolutions doomed to fail because our core traits are fixed? Or is it scientifically possible to change who we are? To find the answer, we have to look past the self-help shelves and break apart the biological structure of personality to see what actually drives our behavior. The foundational framework for understanding human behavior is the debate of nature versus nurture. Are you shaped by your genetics or by your upbringing and environment? Modern experts agree that personality is a combination of both. However, when you look at the data, the genetic component exerts a heavy gravitational pull on our lives. Take, for example, a landmark study tracking identical twin boys who were separated at birth and raised apart in entirely different environments. As adults, researchers discovered a striking anomaly. Both twins had married women with the same first names. They shared identical hobbies and scored similarly on personality tests. Their shared genetic blueprints appeared to overpower their different upbringings. Studies like this drive the current scientific consensus. Broad personality traits, like your innate level of introversion or agreeableness, remain highly stable throughout your lifetime. But this rigid biological baseline only represents the macro level of your personality. Underneath those broad categories sits a secondary layer that is open to modification. Psychologist Carol Dweck has spent her career examining this exact space. She suggests that we stop focusing on fixed biological traits and look at the more flexible components of human psychology. Dweck identifies what she calls the in-between qualities. If your genetic traits form a solid, rigid core, your daily habits, your stress management techniques, and your belief systems form a flexible layer wrapped right around it. These in-between qualities act as a psychological filter. They dictate exactly how your rigid genetic traits are expressed in the real world. You might have a competitive genetic core, but your coping skills determine if that manifests as a short temper or as highly focused productivity. Dweck's research shows how malleable this outer layer is, specifically looking at how different types of praise shape the self-beliefs of children. When kids are praised for their innate intelligence, told, "You're so smart," they develop fixed theory beliefs. They assume their abilities are static. When faced with a difficult problem, these children tend to give up because they believe they have reached the limit of their talent. But children who are praised for their effort develop a malleable mindset. Because they view their own capabilities as adjustable, they persist through difficult challenges and remain eager to learn. This flexibility extends into adulthood. Research shows that when students learn the brain continuously forms new physical connections in response to effort, they experience higher grade point averages and greater school enjoyment. By adopting a malleable approach to self-attributes, we can modify the beliefs that govern our core, changing how our personality is expressed. You can use the science to actively hack a trait you are genetically predisposed to, like severe introversion. The first step is challenging your self-beliefs. You have to stop repeating internal fixed narratives. If you accept the belief that your introversion is a permanent, unchangeable trait, you will never attempt to become more sociable. The second step is praising the effort. You shift your internal monologue away from natural talent and focus on the work. You replace "I'm not naturally good at talking to people" with "I found a good way of engaging in that conversation today." Positive psychologist Christopher Peterson utilized these steps to override his own genetics. Early in his career, Peterson recognized his severe introversion could ruin his academic success. To overcome it, he forced himself to act the part. Whenever he delivered a lecture or spoke at a conference, he systematically practiced extroverted behaviors. Through sheer repetition, this behavior became second nature. Peterson remained an introvert at his core, but he eventually learned how to become extroverted when he needed to be. Personality is a living system. By changing your habits and your in-between beliefs, true behavioral change is achievable. You do not need to rewrite your DNA to change how you show up in the world.